We had Alistair Darling's third budget, his last one before a general election, and to be honest, it was, if anything, a great sense of déjà vu. My overwhelming impression was, I've heard all this before somewhere. And I suppose that's part of the game nowadays. They do have a pre-budget report, so lots of what was said was in the pre-budget report. There were a few new bits, and as ever, the devil is in all the detail when you get the press releases that run to 161 pages that you have to read through. Well, it does give you something to read, if nothing else. So, what's the overriding message? The overriding message is that there have been some very overt tax increases. There have been some covert tax increases. There was very, very little detail about the obvious and most pressing issue, which is the fact that the government currently is borrowing month on month, year on year, extraordinarily large sums of money to fund its expenditure, and what it's going to do about that. Almost nothing said, some very bland generalities about making efficiency savings. But does it matter? Does it matter? We know that there's going to be an election. We don't actually know when it's going to be, but we assume it's going to be on the 6th of May. After that election, what is going to be a raging certainty? There will be another budget in some shape or form. If Labour get in, they're bound to announce further changes, and if the Tories get in, it will be all bets off. So that's the background we've got. So with that in mind, I have a couple of slides just to share with you some of the detail. And as you can see, the top line there is increasing rates of income tax. Now, the headline rate, we've all known for a little while, is 50%. So if you are a so-called high earner, with effect from the 6th of April 2010, i.e. very soon, you will be paying tax at 50% on your top slice of income. I could now bore you with a huge amount of examples as to how that 50% rate isn't really 50%. Depends on what your income is, but I won't do that. Everybody's used to this concept that the tax rates aren't quite as straightforward as they want them to be, but they're going up. They're also being increased covertly by the fact that allowances are being frozen and the cut-off points for various rates have been frozen. So even if nothing else happened, if you accept that there is some inflation out there, which certain people may not accept and politicians seem not to want to realise, but in the big world there is inflation, more tax will come about anyway. My second point there, national insurance contributions. This isn't yet, from the 6th of April 2010, there's no changes to anything really. The headline rates are the same, and the points at which you pay the rates are the same. I mean, if you look in the budget brochure, which is part of your pack, you've got all the rates there, so I'm not going to rattle through all the rates. But the bad news is that it's been announced that from next April, i.e. April 2011, all those rates of national insurance are going up. So we have that to look forward to. My third point there is something of an outrage, but this is what we've got. We've known it was coming, and here it is, it's come, nothing's changed, is that if you are a high earner as defined in a different way, for this purpose, you're a high earner if your taxable income exceeds £100,000, and if your taxable income does exceed £100,000, your personal allowance is withdrawn at the rate of £1 of allowance gone for every £2 of income above £100,000. And that means that at that marginal band, you're paying tax at 60%, which is fairly horrific in my view. And the withdrawal of personal allowances does seems to attack the very fabric of the tax system that I've known and loved for, well, the best part of 35 years. Anyway, next point. Again, we've known it all along. Reduced rates of pension for high earners. Again, the definition of high earners is different. And again, these rules are not new. We have known about them since last year's budget. The rules are perverse, in my view, but my view counts for nothing around here. The point being that there are two lots of new rules. The real new rules don't start until the 6th of April 2011, from which point, if your income is over £150,000, your pension relief will be tapered down so that it is only 20% when your income reaches £180,000. That's complicated enough. That is complicated enough. You would think that the powers would let it there, but they haven't. They announced last budget, so these are the rules we're in at the moment, that to stop people trying to avoid these rules starting in April 2011, that some anti-forestalling rules would be introduced for the hiatus period. And that's where we are at the moment. So if your income is more than £130,000 for this year, or the last 2 years, and you make something which is not a regular pension contribution as defined, you will not get full tax relief, and you will have to account for something called the special allowance charge on your tax return. So those are rules that we've been familiar with for, well, about 12 months now. Nothing has particularly changed there. There was a bit more detail about the way the rules will work from April 2011, but it's not really worth dwelling on. It doesn't really add to anything we didn't already know or suspect.